when the question was raised about whether it was a good idea or not a good idea for the news media to report on this. You're absolutely right. And credit is due. I believe it was the editor of The Atlantic, not the New Yorker, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's not, I think, a diehard Republican or something. I don't. Again, he was not meant to be notified on this. It was definitely a mistake.
Right, absolutely. Thank you, Ben.
What I was going to say, if I may, what I was going to say further is that I think this tells us a little bit more about Trump himself. I think he's really, this goes back to the art of deal perspective. He's kind of like deal maker, and he's viewing his position as the president of the United States, to me, not that much different from a real estate broker trying to use a leverage to get a good real estate deal, whether it's Mar-a-Lago or a golf resort. I think he's doing something like this by, for example, bombing Iran or forcing them to get to the negotiation table, similar to the tariffs. I know we're not talking about tariffs, but he doesn't really believe in those terms, percentages. Against the leverage against those other countries, the same thing that the bombing of the nuclear facilities in Iran. I think I'm just completely BSing here. I think he just wants to be the deal maker and then to get credit for how wonderful he is and to win a Nobel Prize. Even he announced in the total obliteration message that he ended with, "Now let's get to peace." So it's like he bombs you and then he says, "Come back to the negotiation table." It's kind of like carrot and stick. He gives you a big steak and then he goes, "Here's the carrot." And then afterwards, he's going to say, "Look, I fed these people. I gave them carrots. I made peace." So this is probably why he's so pissed at Netanyahu. And possibly, if I can extrapolate a little bit, maybe this attacking June 21st by Netanyahu against Israel, there is a possibility that it was not with the complete blessing of the U.S. And maybe that's got Trump upset because he viewed himself as the big brother and Netanyahu as the small brother. Like a subordinate. Certainly maybe he's entitled to think that way, knowing although Israel is a separate country with sovereignty itself, but the view of himself perhaps would just be, how can you do things without my approval? And now, even after he announced the broker, the peace deal, maybe Trump is upset that, again, I'm assuming that Netanyahu did not notify Trump they were going to retaliate. So Trump seems to be surprised and upset. Anyway, the bottom line, it seems to be Trump is really the party of Trump. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, or whether you're a foreign country or UN, it just seems to matter very little. It's just everything is about Trump himself. If you're in his way, whoever you are, wherever you have been, you have done for him or against him, you're not going to be on his good side. And maybe that's how the F-bomb came out. By the way, maybe this is a start that Congress would start thinking about getting rid of those 7 words on public television. That's not public television. I guess it's free television, and I'm not
right. Broadcasting. Yeah. Thank you, Ben. We're going to move along very quickly here. No additional people will be invited onto the stage. We're going to try to get to everybody who's on the stage as we go into extra time with Hermes, our next.
Thank you. Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. So I think to the question above, it may be that way if Trump cannot benefit in some kind of way, right? In his perception, if he can't get a deal like the money he got in Saudi Arabia, he's probably going to back out, right? There's always that motivating factor with him. And I did see when he said the F-bomb, and I saw it on social media, which they don't edit that out. They don't beep it out. They let you hear it. And you're right. There was a person that spoke earlier that said that, we saw the typical New Yorker. I think she was absolutely right. The New Yorker came out and he was clearly pissed because...
What the F are you talking about?
Right, exactly. Exactly. So, there's an old saying, and I'm sure you've heard this, that it's hard to trust people that don't drop the F bomb, because when they drop the F bomb, you know what they're thinking. So, but thank you, Gary, for the mic.
Thank you, Hermes. And we'll now go to Dave. And I will clarify this by saying Dave Lintz.
Thank you very much, Gary. The big picture. Let's say you're alien and you look at, US, right? And you look at what people have been talking for the last, 30, 40 minutes. I think it's a very good resource to make a Saturday night live sketch. They're all talking about small little thing. What is the big thing? The big thing is the Jewish people in Israel, they need a can opener. That's all. That's the whole thing. They need a can opener. They have all the weapons, but they don't have the can opener for door. And they just asked Trump, we need to have your can opener. And then they just said, okay, let's figure out a sketch, a comedy, or whatever, something entertaining to wrap the whole thing. But in the end, the US job is just go in and open the can, right? So what happened? 12 bomb, right? 12 penetration bomb. And from the satellite picture, you see 2 clusters, each one 3 holes, very close to each other, right? And 12 bombs, so 2 per each hole, right? So, the prior speaker has no technical knowledge, right? So you went 60 over meter, and the next one, same hole. And then all the way down to 90 over meters, right? So you have 3 holes per cluster, 6 bombs per 1 cluster. It will do the job. But the whole thing is the can opener, because once you open the can, the IDF said, thank you, President Trump. The rest we can do because the facility is open. That's all. That's all the role of United States, right? And then
so to your point, just to support what you're saying, maybe a little more succinctly, if you don't mind, is that it is true that those 3 facilities were targets of subsequent Israeli attacks, subsequent, I say, to the bunker bomb and Tomahawk missile firings. So while the president immediately said that it was obliterated, obviously the Israeli intelligence thought otherwise, because had it been obliterated, there would not have been the need for those subsequent attacks, and that's exactly what Israel did. Now they're being told basically by the president, you cannot continue with these subsequent attacks. I don't know whether that's satisfactory to Jerusalem or not, because I don't know what their assessment is of whatever damage they were able to do following the U.S. attacks. But that's a very good point.
No, Gary, the whole point is there's no more place in Iran IDF cannot reach anymore. There's no more dangerous military place.
They've got command of the skies. That's exactly.
And there's no more place, because the deep place that Iran planning for decades is now can open. That's the whole
right.
part.
It's not just that. It's not just that. We haven't discussed it because we're so hyper focused on the nuclear, but it's also the ballistic. What they have been trying to do is find as best they can, and they've been very successful, but of course they obviously haven't gotten all of them, is to degrade their ballistic missile launching capabilities. So one assessment that I heard was that they've eliminated 60%. That sounds pretty good, but that just means that there's 30% that, or 40%, my math is great, that still hasn't been put offline. And now, because of the president's response to the Israeli response to the Iranian breaking of the ceasefire, because the optics of that's not so good to the president, who already claimed total victory and that he brought peace in our time. So he was really pissed off. Well, Israel can't continue that either. And if I was Israel, the more immediate concern would be getting rid of their ballistic opportunities. Even if they were, the nuclear program was kicked back 9 or 10 years. The ballistic opportunities have to be eliminated as well, and they have the opportunity to do it because, as you pointed out, they have command of the skies. And furthermore,
every military place, every military installation.
right, and that's the big point.
That's the big point. The rest is just optic. The rest is like, whether there's any.
That's a big point in terms of public perception, because there are all these demonstrations. The damn Israelis and the Americans are going after the Iranian people. They've been very careful to only attack military installations with these airstrikes. So, what's the problem? Because these military installations